welcome back to my channel. So today's video is just going to be a quick little recap on a trade I took on Meta this morning. Essentially, I'm just going to walk y'all through the steps on how I analyzed the trade. It was not perfect, I will say that, y'all. So this trade is just reality, the real side of trading, where it's like it doesn't have to present a perfect setup every single time. And you may actually take those types of trades. So I'm just going to dive right into it, y'all. So first things first, we see pre-market. Meta was trading into this little channel here. I'm looking at it on the 5-minute. So the only thing I really did for this, because Meta is one of those stocks I particularly feel like is not the best as far as the setup sometimes. Not always, but from time to time, I don't always get the perfect setup on Meta. So I have to trade it with caution just because, again, it's just one of those stocks that's not going to give you directionally 100% what I'm looking for. So I should have already known that going into the trade. But anyways, so yeah, the only thing I really did for the most part was kind of look and see pre-market what was going on, look for the high, the low. I did some charting prior to, because it was on my watch list, so yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I kind of looked at this level here at this like 640.85, and I'm just going to go ahead and chart for it. Let me actually pull it up so y'all can see the price level. Seeing this this specific touch point at about 640.85 right there. So I'm going to zoom it in and drop it down to the 2-minute because y'all know I love to trade off the 2-minute. So let me kind of show y'all what took place this morning. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start by just analyzing what happened. To begin, I did not hop into this trade at the start of the market open. So all of this right here that y'all see, this noise is what I'm going to call it. I did not participate in any of this. I just kind of waited for the market to see like what it would do to correct itself. But I did notice a couple different things that kind of made me have an interest in kind of hopping into this trade. Again, it was not a perfect setup. However, it is a trade that I took. It still was profitable, but again, not a perfect trade, y'all. So I was looking at, and I had charted for this level at the 640.85. Did not trade this until about 8:58 is when I hopped into this trade right here on this candle, this bearish candle here. Now, my logic in doing so is that I pretty much had a clue or indication that it would be some bearish sentiment to start the morning, just because the pressure and momentum seemed to be on the side of the sellers. And we can see here that at 8:40, this specific candle here did not break above the 640.85. We also see this candle here at 8:48 also did not break above this 640.85. And then we saw it once again at 8:56. So I was specifically looking at this, like this level of 640.85 was obviously going to serve as a point of resistance. And with it being the first 30 minutes of the market, I was anticipating the sell-off to be a little bit more drastic. But again, it is Facebook or Meta, so it doesn't always tend to play out perfectly, which is completely fine. But yeah, so I specifically saw this candle at 8:56. I hopped in at 8:58. I think it was about 640 at the price level up here to the top of this candle. And essentially, I played this for only about 9 to 10 minutes. I think I was in this trade for 9 minutes total. And like I said, my first means of confirmation was the fact that it did not maintain above this 640.85. When I seen this bearish candle here had extreme selling pressure, that was for me confirmation, along with a few other things, but I'll go over that in just a second. But we can see that the very next candle here was actually a bullish candle. And you guys always hear me talk about the wicks, so the shadows will always tell you exactly what's going on. You can see that the top wick and the bottom wick on this candle is nearly equivalent to each other, so the buying and selling pressure was almost equal. However, the buyers had just a slight bit of an edge and a little bit more control, so this specific candle ended bullish. But we can see the next couple candles for the next 4 minutes of trading we're also going to show bearish sentiment. So it looks like the sellers took back over control and stepped in. And then I saw that this specific candle here at 9:06 saw a bit more of a rejection, which I thought would continue much longer. However, it did not. Once it got to about 9:08, this is where I kind of made the decision to myself. I'm like, okay, I don't know that Meta is going to continue to drop this morning. I don't think the stock will continue with the sell-off. I wasn't sure, but of course, y'all know risk management is like super important. So I did have a trailing stop set. And if nothing else for me, I know some people like to use a stop loss, which is completely fine. For me, I like a trail stop because it does chase your profits directionally. And if nothing else, I can always break even with a trail stop. So even if this trade goes against me like completely, nothing else I can break even. So I'm not saying you can't do that with a stop loss, but I just prefer trailing stop. That's just my preference. But anyways, kind of getting back to it. So about 9:08, I saw the selling pressure still kind of on the decline. Now, at this point, I'm already pretty confident that I'm not staying in this trade too much longer. Just again, it's Meta. So when it got to this next candle here at 9:10, I was already pretty much exiting out of the trade. We saw that it did kind of pull back to the upside. And this for me was confirmation alone that Meta was not something to be playing with this morning, because there was a little bit too much indecision, which also made for like a very indifferent type of trade. Again, this wasn't forced. It still, again, was profitable, but like it's not a perfect setup. Now, while it was easy to take advantage of this, like $7, $8 move to the downside, that was cool. But again, my anticipation was that the stock would actually fall into a further downtrend to at least hit about 626. I was anticipating. Eventually, it did get to 623 a little later on in the morning, but I thought the sell-off would have stronger pressure. However, I will say I should have kind of known that it wouldn't, because Meta doesn't offer the same level of volatility, or at least the strength of a trend the way that like Tesla would, for example. I did have the ADX pulled up. Let me show y'all. Y'all know I like the ADX here. So we saw that by the time I entered into the trade, the ADX was in the range of like 20, it looks like 23, 24, 21 at the low for it. And then that was kind of like typical of Meta though. So I never too much like, I'm not super picky on ADX being in the 20 range with Meta, because it doesn't offer the same strength within a trend that like Tesla does. Like, let me show y'all real quick. Just for example, let me show y'all Tesla. If we're looking at, for example, like this uptrend here on Tesla, right? You can see that the ADX at the high is like 28. It goes up to at least like 37, which essentially shows that this uptrend is going to be something that was extremely powerful, just because it did have a higher level on the ADX. But Meta, on the other hand, it doesn't offer the same amount of strength within the trend. So let me kind of zoom it back in for y'all. But yeah, so for the most part, I just kind of wanted to break this down. I did also have the exponential moving averages. Let me show y'all that. Y'all know what I'm about to do as far as the configuration. I like to have my 9-day green, and then of course I changed this one to my 21, and I'm going to leave it blue, and y'all will see here. So this is also going to show me a little bit more of what I was essentially anticipating. You can clearly see here that the 9 and the 21 are not even close to intersecting at all, at least at this time period, which again was kind of like confirmation that the trend would continue to the downside and that sell-off would also persist. However, it was short-lived, so the trade did not necessarily go 100% in my favor, but that's the reality of trading, y'all. It's not always going to be exactly what we anticipate. So completely fine, took profits, was good. Did I feel great about this trade? Not necessarily, but I will say the strategy was something I stuck to. I always stick to my same plan. My strategy is always something I tend to just fall in line with. But again, I just thought the selling pressure would be a little bit more intense. The volume bars, not necessarily a huge deal in this case, because it wasn't an extreme level of volatility and momentum. So the volume kind of was, not to say insignificant, but it just wasn't a super huge factor in the trade for me. It was kind of just whatever. But essentially, yeah, this is what took place this morning. I will show y'all a couple other things that I did want to mention. So yeah, just to offer a little bit more justification, let me show y'all. So I kind of want to be able to highlight this part for y'all. So from here out, oops, sorry, zoom it back in. So from here to about this level here, y'all can see these specific candles. Okay, so just to kind of break this down, again, I entered into the trade at 8:58. Again, the first level of confirmation for me was the fact that I looked at pre-market. I saw that it was going to be some bearish sentiment to start, and I projected that the selling pressure would be just a little bit more intense than what it was. Once I saw this specific candle here at 8:40, maintain below 640.85 for that price level. Also saw this candle here at 8:48 do the same thing, and then of course this candle at 8:56. That means I have anticipated a solid rejection with the setup after like failing to push higher above that level. And of course, with that being said, the ADX was held at a moderate level, which suggested some strength, but not a massive trend just yet. And although I did anticipate the trade to decline further past, especially given the strong selling pressure, it just didn't play out that way, to be honest. Again, confirmation was for me on entering this play for puts. So essentially, I entered on this candle because of the long strength of the body. The next candle being bullish was super like indecisive. Not necessarily something that showed me that the stock would like consolidate or like run to the upside, but y'all, this could have gone left like easily. if the buyer stepped in and had a little bit more power and control. If the body of this candle would have been a little bit more heightened, this could have easily been a rally to the upside, and this would have been a losing trade for me. However, within this little bit of a pullback, it wasn't too much of a difference it made, because the next couple candles, again, they had stronger bodies for the bearish sentiment. We saw that the seller stepped back in to take control. So yeah, y'all, that is pretty much what it was. Again, nothing like nothing super crazy. I'm indifferent about this trade because I feel like there was a lot more opportunity. Maybe I should just been more patient. And again, that's the reality of trading. You don't always know exactly what's going to happen. So while the move didn't fully follow through as expected, it was just a lesson on price action and just being patient within the trade. And that's okay. You got to just be comfortable with taking the L if you take it, or if it's one of those trades where you're like, I don't really think this was a beautiful setup, but I still took it. As long as it's not a trade that ends in the red, I'm kind of cool with it, but this could have been better. So this is me just showing y'all a couple of the mistakes that I made. Is one, the ADX wasn't extremely high as far as the strength of the trend, but it really never is, in my opinion, for Meta. Like, I don't always see a whole ton of momentum as far as like the shift of the ADX being super high. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Meta is volatile. I'm not saying it's not. But it's not always going to give you the same strength of volatility of like Tesla, which I'm super comfortable trading just because I know how Tesla is going to react. Meta is not one that I say I don't trade. I do trade it pretty often. But again, I should have known as far as the indecision, because Meta can be choppy throughout the day and it could just remain that. And y'all can see that's kind of what happened here as far as like the consolidation period. You'll see that pretty often. So yeah, this is one of those trades that I took advantage of, but not the most beautiful setup. Was not perfect at all. But yeah, by 9:08, I was completely out of this trade. I think I stayed in probably till 9:09, honestly. Once I saw this bullish momentum kind of shifting, for me, that was pretty much confirmation that this was not going to be a long-lived downtrend. So that was like, all right, let me go ahead and cut my ties from this trade. And again, I didn't even let it get to the trailing stop. I just was like, nah. It just didn't feel right, if that makes. I know you're not supposed to have your feelings in, and I tell y'all all the time, remove the emotion out of it. But this specific trade, I can say my feelings were in it, and I was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. So I just went ahead and cut the little trade short on this one. I was like, I wanted it to be something that had a little stronger momentum, but hey, I can't dictate that. Like, that's not something I can control. So yeah, y'all, that's pretty much the trade I took. Nothing crazy, nothing special. Just a simplistic little trade that wasn't really like, I just ain't like it. I hope y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all can tell by my tone, I wasn't really feeling this trade. I guess I can say it's not that I didn't analyze it, I just wasn't feeling like, I don't know, y'all, it just was one of those days. So it is what it is. I just wanted to show y'all my little imperfect setup on the trade that I took on Meta this morning. And I don't recommend that y'all trade these types of setups either, just because you see a few levels of confluence or whatever. Like, make sure the setup is all the way right. There's no such thing as a perfect setup, but try to get it as close to it as possible. And yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Like, that's just the transparency I'm providing to y'all. So hope y'all found some type of value out of this video. I know, like, me showing y'all like the ugly side of trading, I guess, is not fun, but hey, yeah, y'all tell me what y'all traded today. If anything, if y'all have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. As always, I thank y'all so much for watching, and of course, I'll see y'all in my next one.